Hello everyone and welcome to our geometry lesson today. This lesson is from the book and it's called Can You Make It? Activity 19.7 on page 509. In this activity you're going to need a couple things with me. In a classroom you could use geoboards, Masonic puzzles, or pattern blocks, but today we're going to be using Play-Doh. And then also anything that you can cut with. I have this nail file, so make sure you have permission to be using these type of edges. You can also use a pencil or scissors or maybe just a harder block. So in this lesson, we are going to be focusing on the objective. Students will construct shapes based off of defining attributes for 100% accuracy. I'll be looking for 5 shapes out of this whole entire lesson. And the standard that I chose to go off of this was the geometry standard for the state of Kansas with 1.G, and it's distinguish between defining attributes versus non-defining attributes, and build and draw shapes that possess those defining attributes. You'll see that with our objective, we'll focus on making those shapes. So, can you make it? We're going to have our Play-Doh here, and a couple different shapes that we are going to focus on. First is making a square. Some of the defining parts of this square, as you can see, are they have square corners or right angles. They're going to all be the same. So I want you to just practice taking your Play-Doh with me. You can pause as you need for this video as we go along, but you're going to just get your Play-Doh nice and warmed up. You can make it into a ball, rub it together, and then you're going to place the Play-Doh on the table, and you are going to squish it down, just like that. And with the square, I'm going to get it all nice. I'm going to take my stick here, and I'm going to take the edges off that make it round. And try to make it the best that I can to be a square. Some parts that you can measure is finding something that could be the same size of the square that you're trying to make here. And now you have this well-built square. So go ahead and pause for a second and take time to make that square shape. Awesome job. Another thing that we're going to be looking at how to make is a triangle. Some defining parts of this triangle is that you have angles that come together at points. So you have a point here, a point there, and a point right there. So this triangle, same thing that we're going to do. You're going to get it all smushed down here, worked in your hands. Feel free to either smush the square that you just made or find some more Play-Doh. And we are going to break some apart, roll it into a ball, and go ahead and squish it down one more time. So we have it right there. Squish it down to get a nice flat surface because we just want to make regular flat shapes today. And then make a triangle. So we want points here. So we're going to start at the top, go down, down again, and then connect your points to where you have 3 points on this triangle. We'll go into later on about the different types of triangles, but now we have these 3 points that make up each triangle. So go ahead and practice yourself on making those 3 points to make a triangle with your Play-Doh. Awesome job. Now that you've had a second to do that, we are going to move on to two other shapes. Our first one is going to be a rectangle, and then we have a rhombus. This rhombus here, as you can see, it's going to have points going the same way, just like this rectangle. So I want you to choose which one of these two that you're going to make, because we'll come back and practice the other one here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and make this together now. So come over here, you have your big glob of Play-Doh. Squish it down. And I'm choosing to make a rhombus here. So I'm going to cut here, and then I'm going to make little slants down. Pick apart all that. And now I have a nice little rhombus with our opposite sides going the same way. And same with this rectangle that we made and the square earlier. But there's some other shapes. Some defining attributes between the rhombus and the rectangle. As you can see, this can probably tie along with some literacy with some compare and contrast to the two shapes that you made. These sides are slanted, but they're the same because they're going the same way. What makes this one a little bit different is the sides are square and they are making that 90-degree angle and just a little more straight rather than this slanted rhombus. So we overall made 5 shapes. I want you to go ahead and make that 5th one. We talked about our circle. Oh, we have not actually talked about the circle. I got way too excited to move on to the next part. So now we're going to make our last shape, shapes with round edges on them. So we're going to look down here. The easiest way that I found to make a circle is I'm going to roll my Play-Doh into a nice ball. So go ahead and grab your Play-Doh and roll along with me. Okay, it should be nice and round. There's some parts in there where my ring got on there, so I'm going to try to bring it down here just a little bit. And I am going to just angle that down a little further, move all my other shapes, and we are going to squish it down like this. So take your palm of your hand, just press down. Good, now that's a kind of good circle there. I'm going to round out my edges though. Make them nice and smooth because a circle has rounded edges on there. There we go. So we have a nice circle with some round edges. You could also take something circular. Another way that you can make these is, let's see, I'm going to grab a new color for this one. Move aside my pink because I want a lot of Play-Doh here. So I now pull out my color yellow. I'm going to round it out. I'm trying to make a big ball out of this. Kind of squish it down where I can get it all nice and even. Squish down, squish down, squish down. Take my yellow lid here, and I'm just going to go ahead and squish it down there. And didn't quite get around to where I wanted it. You can also, I guess, take this one. There we go. That was a lot better. So I took a circle, and I have a nice rounded edges right here. So go ahead and practice making your circles just for a little bit. We'll see if you can make those. Awesome job. So now that the circles are made, we're going to go into some other shapes that are going to be just a little bit different. So I have some fun shapes that we're going to make. I'm going to go ahead and put my yellow away. So those are the 5 shapes that you can tell right away. It has pointed edges, going to have round edges, maybe a little bit more slanted, nice and even on both sides, and their opposite sides are going to go the same ways, or they're going to have right angles. So there's a lot of different shapes that you can do with that. I'm going to bring up together all of my pink here, my pink Play-Doh, and you can use whatever kind of Play-Doh you would like at home. This is just my favorite color, so I chose to stick with pink. We're going to mush them all together. And this other type of shape that you could see oftentimes is going to be a dent with a shape in it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my sphere made again and angle the camera down so you all can see what I am doing right here. So we have this. Squish down. Now I'm going to take my lid again to make my circle. And then I'm going to put a dent in it, or a concave is another word. So I'm going to just take it in another shape that we talked about a lot is our triangle. So I'm going to make like a little triangle. And I actually just made 2 shapes out of here. I have a shape with a dent in it, but I also have a shape with a curve to it. So not a circle, but definitely another shape that has that curve attribute to it. And this one that's going to have a dent. If you ever know the game Pac-Man, that's kind of what it looks like right now. So the main part that I want you all to do at home is I want you to grab some Play-Doh, grab something to make shapes with, and let's see if you can make it. Let's try together, just for a quick moment, about making a shape with 3 sides. So let's try to make a triangle, however shape you want. I'm going to make mine like this today. Go ahead and pause while we do this if you would like more time. And try to challenge some of your people at home too. Maybe go find your mom or dad, or maybe your other peers, and you guys can do this activity together and make your own shapes. So I challenged you to make a triangle here, and my triangle looks a lot different than the other ones we made. It kind of has 2 longer sides that come to a point and then connects right here. So how fun. Another way that you can connect this lesson instead of just literacy is to social studies, going out in your communities and the things around you and looking at maps and seeing shapes on maps that have defining attributes. And then also maybe you can go outside and make some shapes with your chalk on the sidewalk. You can try to copy like your stop sign, that is called a hexagon. A triangle would be like a yield sign, the circles on your stoplights, everything like that. So you can definitely connect this activity to social studies for sure. But once again, this was Can You Make It? Activity 19.7, and when the students finish up this activity, they will be able to construct shapes based on their attributes of having 3 sides, having 4 sides, and right angles, or the opposite sides going in the opposite ways, or have round edges to them. Thank you so much for joining me for geometry.